Hey guys, MuJK here. It's been a while since I did a proper video for you guys, but I wanted to kind of go over SUZUKA, at least with her job 1 and 2. I did pull her from the summon video that you may have seen, but I also did something impulsive, which was to limit break her with some shards that I had saved up. I know it's not the smart thing to do. I know people comment on things whenever I don't do the smart thing, but I just really wanted to test it out, so that's why I did it. There is kind of a debate going on right now whether or not her job 1 or her job 2 is better. So I wanted to kind of cover that, at least my opinion for this time. Of course, job 3 is when she really shines because that overdrive passive is so strong, and that's when she becomes really like a hard hitter. But until then, she is still pretty viable. She is good, definitely above average, and I am very much enjoying using her. So the first thing that I will say right off the bat is that their stats are almost identical. Like, as far as comparing two jobs goes, usually there's much more of a difference than this, but yeah, you'll see that the samurai definitely has high crit versus the ninja, and the ninja has high agility. So 13 more agility here and a lot more crit, like 90, what is that? I don't know. It's a lot more crit on these samurai. So, also, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's like multipliers or whatever, I feel like the samurai has just better damage maybe, but that could just be the gear that I use as well. Like, I took the gear off, but normally I would have, different weapons on. We'll just say that their attack is pretty similar. But the biggest difference, of course, will come down to their skills, because even their mobility is very similar. So 5-3 with this setup, with ninja stealth on here, and the ninja has 5-5. But I mean, there's very few instances where you're going to be going over like a huge cliff where you need more than 3 jump. So in practical terms, they're going to feel just as mobile as each other. There's not really an advantage there in most cases. But yeah, so again, it's going to come down to the skills. Now, the reason why I prefer the samurai job, I'm giving it away already, is because I just really like the skills a lot better. So first of all, watching the flow, you have like a nice little self buff if you're not quite in range to do anything. So it's not nearly as good as something like Holy Brawlers, sharpening focus or whatever, but it is something and it's cheap. Also, drawing slash has a nice lateral, like 3 squares in front of you kind of thing, some AoE there. Steel Cutting Blade and Steel Cutting Flash both have defense ignoring properties, and Steel Cutting Flash has range plus that line in front of you, so it can hit multiple enemies, which I really like. Even with my bolts, I'm using Retribution Blade a lot, so it's very similar to that, and it does more damage than the other stuff. So really like the skills with the samurai here. Ninjutsu is basically about like status ailments. Instead of like a self buff to attack, you'll raise your own evasion rate, but I just personally don't find that reliable. I don't like to walk into dangerous situations relying on that. Smoke bomb, same thing. Blind doesn't seem to really stop the enemies from hitting me that much. So you have all these different attacks, tranquilizing blade and on, where you can put them to sleep, poison, paralyze, bind, and stop. There are 2 main problems that I have with these things. So first of all, with the harder content, I'm finding that the enemies are more resistant to these kinds of things, and it's no longer a given that, your stop or whatever will work. But, let's say that it works majority of the time, that's fine. But it also does noticeably less damage than even your normal attack, which I don't like. So let's say your normal attack was going to do like 450 damage. If you use one of these, you're going to be paying jewels, and then you're going to be doing like 300 instead of 450. So instead of doing more damage or whatever, instead of killing them, you're disabling them, which in some cases would be useful, especially if you're trying to get away, if you're weak or whatever. But in a lot of other cases, you can just kill them outright if you had a stronger skill. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of these ninja skills, but I do like the basic ninjutsu because it gives you range, whereas you normally wouldn't have that kind of flexibility. And this is not like just in a straight line or just laterally. This is a little bit more flexible. So that's why I like these skills. Also, of course, elemental coverage. And, if you pick the right element, you'll do a lot more damage than you otherwise, would have. And just in general, they do more damage than your regular attack anyway, so it's nice options to have, but that's why I'm using them on both of the classes, so it's not really an advantage for one or the other because I'm using them on both. So that's why I like the samurai job. We'll go ahead and put on their gear, their respective 3-star gear that I pulled from the gear summon, and we'll compare them like in a real life scenario. Yeah, this one has less attack but has paralyze instead, so you know, again, a trade-off. So we'll start off with the samurai job. I did build up the equipment a little bit more here because that's when I realized I wanted to use a samurai job instead of ninja, but I figured the ninja investment is not going to go to waste because there are going to be some cases where you want that extra jump or extra status ailments or whatever, so you know, that's how I justified it anyway. Okay, so I don't have a lot of AP, so why don't we start with Pursuit here, and we'll just compare that way. Maybe we won't even clear the whole level, we'll just do enough to get a sense of, you know, what the differences will be. Alright, so I have not played this level in a while. Alright, so we have why don't we start off with this guy. So the regular attack would do, okay, 586 without any elemental advantage, or we can do the Thunder Seal, which would do 757. So let's try to remember that number and compare, but I think basically the ninja will do a little bit more damage with the seals, maybe because of more magic, I don't know, but it's not a big difference at all. Alright, so I have 8 jewels here. Let's see what a regular attack will do. This time I do have elemental advantage and 742. Okay, well I got a crit there, so that's not a fair comparison. I got 35 jewels off of the crit. I think I remember it being 26 with the regular attack. So 26 with the regular attack and 35 with the crit. The jewel gain rate is not bad. If you had like, you know, multiple gear slots opened up, I probably would recommend the Curious Doll because, you know, it's nice to have skills always at the ready. So okay, again, 559 is the regular attack, but let's see what the skills would do. So Drawing Slash would do 681, which is noticeably better. This one does 610, which seems like it's worse, but it's actually because the enemy doesn't have good defense. So why don't we, oh shoot, running out of time. Okay, I just did a regular attack there because I wanted to showcase some of the other stuff. Thought I wasn't gonna make it. Oh, they're not really lining up the way I want them to, but okay. Oh, no, don't kill. Okay, so that was the counter. I kind of didn't want her to do that because I wanted to show some of the AoE options, I guess. But yeah, they're not really lining up the way I want. So, alright, so 617 normal attack. Again, 677 for this. Steel Cutting Blade was do 610. And Steel Cutting Flash does noticeably more. And it, of course, does it in a nice line. So if they were lined up better, you would see her hit them all. So yeah. And then for this last guy, we'll just finish him off with maybe a seal or something. Alright, so normal attack 613, and we'll just do water seal 753. Okay, so that's Samurai. I realized that wasn't the best showcase of the AoE options and everything, but trust me, it definitely is useful. Alright, so we'll go ahead and jump into that same level, and oh no, I have to switch to ninja real quick. Yeah, with ninja, I mean, you're basically always gonna hit only one enemy at a time, which can feel very limiting. And if you're in a level that just happens to have like a whole bunch of separated, you know, Lone Ranger type of enemies, maybe it's not a big deal, but in most cases you're gonna want some sort of AoE options. And again, Samurai has that defense ignoring property, so you can, have some way to take care of tanks. So, alright, let's see how much the seal does here. I think it was like 757 or something like that with the other one. So you can see it does a little bit more damage with Ninja, but nothing to write home about. Certainly not enough to, like, give her some kind of edge. Alright, so 11 joules. We'll see how much the regular attack gives her. Alright, another critical. So that was 37 joules as opposed to, what did I say, like 35 for the Samurai with the critical. So even with the joule gain, it's like so similar between the two classes. Like, it really couldn't be any closer. Okay, so that was only 24, I think. So that was less for the regular attack, joule gain wise. So that's interesting. But basically, the rest of the fight, I mean, it's just all single target, picking them off one by one. So this is what I'm talking about. So the regular attack would do 556, and if we were to use one of these, it goes all the way down to 411. So yes, it does have the status ailments, but I don't know, that's a lot of damage to sacrifice, I think. Like, it could easily do just as much damage as a normal attack at least, and still do that stuff, because you are paying, joules. But it's a pretty hefty penalty. What is that, like 33% less? Just to get the chance of the status ailment. Granted, it's probably a good chance, but yeah, I would say it's situational. But in most cases, I just prefer the raw damage instead. All right, so we'll just kill him off here. We'll use something else. Well, they're all gonna do the same damage. See, 411, 411. They all do the same. We'll just kill him with the regular attack, which is 589. Big difference, I think. So that's the ninja right there. So, it's not night and day. It's not like one is like so awesome, one is terrible. They're both very, very similar as two different jobs can be. But I do prefer the Samurai in most cases, and with just playing multiple games over and over, I just find that the Samurai skills come in handy a lot more often. And that's just my experience. But let me know what you guys think. I just wanted to show you my opinion, because I know a lot of people were curious about which one should I use, which one should I build up. To be honest, you do want to build them up, both of them. I know people say that all the time, but I know the stat bonuses were actually pretty sizable. It was like 6 agility and, like, some amount of attack and everything for mastering the ninja job, even if you are going to use the Samurai. So yeah, like, she went from like 95 agility, 96 to 101, which is pretty good. So the bonuses are worth it. But if you do need to build one up right away, I would say if you unlock the ninja job, get it up to job 2 so you can get the ninja stealth, and then for the rest of it you can basically plug it in like this and just use the Samurai job instead. That's my opinion. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm glad to be back. I'll be trying to churn out some more content in the coming days, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.